Welcome back. It was all good news when Ghanaians learned the country was on the verge of producing oil in commercial quantities some years back. When the production finally began in 2011, a section of Ghanaians were already affected, either through their source of income, livelihood, or their abode. Fishermen were given restrictions to reaching their catch area around the oil rig and habitats of areas where the exploration was taking place with heavier rental fees. Woefully, Ghana has not really been able to hit the targeted quantity of 120,000 barrels per day, a situation an expert on natural resources and minerals, Dr. Yao Graham, thought the anticipation was hyped more than necessary, especially by politicians.
At the beginning, there were some projections that by a certain time we'll be producing about 120,000 by now. But we know that those targets have not been met. Secondly, of course, the prices have also been a bit, up and down. One of the reasons also why we are so taken with this discussion about oil and gas is because from the day one, the politicians exaggerated how much we're going to get in what period of time. Because what we are producing now is nothing. We are not even Equatorial Guinea size. But I think all this having been said, overall, if you look at the production, clearly, oil revenue has added a few $100 million a year to public revenue, which would otherwise would not have been there. So at the minimum, it strengthens the capacity of the government to have a bit more money to spend. Okay.
He said the concentration should also include the energy generator, which is gas.
And I think an additional area of benefit, which has not been sufficiently grasped, really is the benefit of gas. We tend to talk a lot about oil, but really, gas potentially probably could have the biggest impact, in terms of direct economic effect, by lowering energy prices, by making energy more generally available. The West Africa gas pipeline has been extremely unreliable. Our gas should be able to improve our ability to generate more energy. Lower energy costs would strengthen the possibilities for economic, particularly industrial activity, which would feed through in terms of the creation of jobs. There's talk about fertilizer production, which will have a great impact on agriculture. These are areas which I don't think there's enough of a public interest in.
Although it has created some job avenues, there is an adverse effect on most ordinary Ghanaians. Yao Graham outlines some measures to correct anomalies and the need to define national interest.
The public interest in how oil revenues are managed, it's a very healthy development, that the public is alert on the question of accountability in the management of our non-renewable natural resources. I really would like to see an extension of this public interest in how things are run beyond oil. Central to the positive lessons is that those who have benefited most from their oil have strengthened the capacity of their own people, either through public institutions or private sector institutions, to be part. In short, the national interest must be defined to include everybody, starting actually with the most needy.
Transparency and accountability, according to Yao Graham, is key and must involve indigents whose interest must be paramount.
Well, President John Mahama earlier this morning addressed Parliament. He gave his State of the Nation's address with a call for national unity. The speech ended at exactly 11 a.m. We're bringing you excerpts of the speech, but first, let's listen to what the President had to say about the microeconomy of the country.
Through hard work and implementation of prudent fiscal and monetary policies, we were able over the last 4 years to stabilize the macroeconomic environment. This resulted in a remarkable acceleration of our growth rate. And today, Ghana's GDP growth rate continues to be among the highest in the world. With the record-breaking growth of 2011, occasioned partly by the commencement of oil production, this is to ensure discipline in government's fiscal regime to avoid unbudgeted expenditures that could distort the economy's performance. Government also in our term of office put in place appropriate mechanisms and legislative framework for the judicious utilization of our oil and gas revenues and resources. This is in line with our commitment to transparency and accountability.
In the area of education, the President indicated that 40% of 4,000 schools under trees have been replaced, and also said that education materials have been distributed to schools across the country.
In line with our commitment to invest in people, measures were rolled out immediately to address these problems at all levels. Madam Speaker, I am happy to report to you that remarkable progress has been made since these efforts began. 4 years on, about 40% of the over 4,000 schools under trees have been replaced, thereby making it possible to move hundreds of thousands of Ghanaian school children into decent classroom accommodation. We intend to move quickly in the new mandate granted us by the favor of God and the people of Ghana to work hard towards the eradication of the remaining schools under trees. During the same period, millions of learning and teaching materials like exercise books, textbooks, school uniforms, and computers have been distributed across the country. Other pro-poor interventions like the capitation grant and the school feeding program have been expanded to cover many more children. Today, as I speak, more than 1 million children are being fed 1 meal a day at school.
The President also touched on the healthcare sector, where he says 161 new ambulances have been provided for the Ghana Ambulance Service, and a training institution has been established for the training of allied healthcare professionals.
Active membership of the scheme, utilization, claim payments, and other important indicators of public confidence have risen sharply over the last 4 years. Madam Speaker, from the early days of this administration, we have worked relentlessly to give individuals and families better access to more qualitative health care. Across the country, an unprecedented number of modern health care delivery facilities have been rolled out, including the upgrading of the Tamale Hospital into an ultra-modern teaching hospital. Madam Speaker, we have also established in the short space of 4 years 1,300 new CHIPS compounds across the country. We have built 19 health centers for population areas over 500. We have built 12 new district hospitals. We have built 15 new polyclinics. And we have provided 161 new ambulances . Madam Speaker, 161 new ambulances for the National Ambulance Service. In the area of training, several nurses and midwifery training institutions have been established, as well as a university that is dedicated solely to the training of auxiliary healthcare professionals.
The President also touched on national security, where he says security agencies have received the biggest retooling in a while.
Active membership of the scheme, utilization, claim payments, and other important indicators of public confidence have risen sharply over the last 4 years. Madam Speaker, from the early days of this administration, we have worked relentlessly to give individuals and families better access to more qualitative health care. Across the country, an unprecedented number of modern health care delivery facilities have been rolled out, including the upgrading of the Tamale Hospital into an ultra-modern teaching hospital. Madam Speaker, we have also established in the short space of 4 years 1,300 new CHIPS compounds across the country. We have built 19 health centers for population areas over 500. We have built 12 new district hospitals. We have built 15 new polyclinics. And we have provided 161 new ambulances. Madam Speaker, 161 new ambulances for the National Ambulance Service. In the area of training, several nurses and midwifery training institutions have been established, as well as a university that is dedicated solely to the training of auxiliary healthcare professionals.
Well, that was another take of the President on healthcare. We will bring you his address on on security, in a bit. But in the field of energy, he says access to electricity in the country has improved from 54% in 2008 to 72% in 2012.
The government has over the past 4 years made significant investments in the energy sector. This has culminated in an increase of 35% in our energy generation capacity since 2008. Access to electricity has also increased from 54% in 2008 to an average of 72% in 2011. Madam Speaker, about 1,700 communities have been connected to the national electricity grid since 2008. With a large proportion of this increase representing poor households. These, Madam Speaker, are the communities that would otherwise have been in darkness.
Enjoy News on Multi TV. Now let's play back the President's address, State of the Nation address, where he touched on security, and he says the security agencies have received the biggest retooling in a while.
Madam Speaker, over the last 4 years, our security agencies have seen the biggest retooling efforts in their entire existence. The Ghana Armed Forces, comprising the Army, Navy, and Air Force, have all benefited from the acquisition of new and modern equipment. This has enabled them to carry out even more effectively their mandate of ensuring our security by air, by land, or by sea. Madam Speaker, the Ghana Police Service has also taken delivery of new high-performance vehicles, communications gadgets, and other essential equipment. The service today can boast of an ultra-modern forensic laboratory, which has greatly improved their crime prevention and detection capabilities. Indeed, this capability was on full display before, during, and after the 2012 elections, which saw them effectively providing security for all of us.
Well, if you followed the address by President Mahama, you would notice that he delivered his speech off the cuff, and indeed he did spice it up with some humor.
It is my wish that President Mills was here to report on the unprecedented achievements of this administration. Or you can replace that with Gargantuan. The unprecedented achievements of this administration, but the lot has fallen on me to give an account of the state of our nation. The purpose of this State of the Nation address at the end of a government's term in office, I believe, is to allow the President to place on historical record an account of his stewardship.
Okay, so now let's get back onto Facebook and see some of the messages that you've been sending us. Bahama Imurana says that is exactly what we were expecting from him. Okay. Mohammed Rabiu Abubakar says the President's speech was absolutely the best ever. Baba Jamal says excellent speech from the President. Wait, is this Baba Jamal, or this a different Baba Jamal? Okay, well, let me go to your message. He said excellent speech from the President, but just wondering whether it's an art of chew and pour or reading from teleprompter. Well, I don't have the answer to that. Okay, John Jifa Akato says excellent. Umar Haruna said no, he didn't talk about improving the well-being of health workers. I wish he did so. Well, probably he will talk at length about that when he addresses Parliament again. Jonila Lai says, Joy News, you guys are dope. Okay, we appreciate that. We try and do our best for you so that you also enjoy everything and you don't miss out on anything. Sheikh Abubakar Fatabo Timte says, good delivery, may God be in control. And the last one, Muntaka Nasamu says, absolutely yes, and he was magnificent. We take another quick break here. We'll be back with some wellness and tips from around the world.
What is the strategic vision?
I want to build GNPC into an integrated, a world-class integrated oil and gas company.
Joy News brings you selected episodes of Time with David. The oil and gas series was recorded in late 2009 and 2010. In it, David Ampofo sought at the time to throw light on the emerging oil and gas industry, and many of the issues raised then remain relevant. The gas processing plant currently being developed with Sinopec was one of the issues that stood out. Enjoy a look back at the very beginning of Jubilee Oil and Gas in Ghana. This and every Saturday at 7 p.m. on Joy News, only on Multi TV.
Imagine a contract between the Ghana government and these companies. Is it for the public to see?
You're going to have so many challenges now. Do you have the right processes and procedures in place?
Ghanaians are saying the thing is in the sea, but I wonder where they will build a gas plant.
You are educated. I am uneducated. So you come and you use it, then I become a beggar on my own soil. Please, there needs to be special protection.
People do not necessarily feel that we have benefited from our gold resource.
We will make sure that at the end of it all, it is a win-win.
Welcome back. It's still the midday brief here on Joy News channel, and the lady of the house is here.
Now you make me sound like Hyacinth Bouquet.
Exactly. The lady of the house speaking.
And the lady of the house will be speaking about childhood obesity.
Okay.
Yeah, you know those cute little chubby-cheeked children.
Yeah.
And not a good idea.
Not really?
Really?
Like seriously?
Like seriously.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so researchers say that a baby's chance of being obese in childhood can be predicted at birth using a very simple formula. The formula combines several known factors to estimate the risk of obesity. The authors of the study hope that it will be used to identify babies at risk. There are a few simple measurements such as the child's birth weight and whether the mother smoked or not, whether enough was done to predict obesity. Now, the issue of obesity in Ghana is becoming worrying as the rate was shot up from 1 to 5%, necessitating calls for policies and interventions to bring the situation under control. Current statistics reveal that in Ghana, obesity in children has assumed a high rate, especially in relation to nutrition. The latest research by the Nutrition and Food Science Department of the University of Ghana on the nutritional status of over 3,000 school children surveyed in the country revealed that 3 out of every 20 school children in urban centers are fat. In an interview with the Deputy Director of Nutrition of the Ghana Health Service, Wilhelmina Okwabi said, obesity in children is still high.
It was 1% in 88, now it's 5%. And because of what children are being fed on. Instead of some rich, maybe rice with a rich contemporary stew, they're eating fried rice. And that is carbohydrates, rice, plus oil. And the protein is fried, so more oil. And very little vegetable. And after that, no fruit. So that is high energy food. Plus, coupled was these days, instead of the gutter to gutter, ampe, ball, jumping about, they sit behind computers, browsing, or playing games. There are some schools with no playgrounds. And children go to school and they learn, and there's extra activities and extra classes. And, a child learns, and develops. We lack that now, so we need to look out for these things.
Childhood obesity can lead to many health problems, including heart disease and type 2 diabetes, which is becoming more worrisome as the number of juvenile diabetics surge at an alarming rate of approximately 3% per annum. There are also noticeable psychological effects leading to low self-esteem.
We need to increase physical activity, both for children and for adults. We need more fresh fruits and vegetables. Yeah.
Experts fear this phenomenon might become a problem and have asked for urgent attention and the adoption of a healthy nutritional lifestyle that would enhance healthy growth and productivity. Once obese, a child can find it difficult to lose weight. Teaching parents about the dangers of overfeeding and bad nutritional habits at a young age would be much more effective. Now, on the international front today, Congo's rebel group M23 have threatened to